we started with the customer experience. And whether it's a phone call to get an appointment for service, or whether it's somebody walking in fresh off the on the showroom floor, there has to be a better experience. I mean, as an industry, we've been looked down upon for so many years and so many generations. And the only way you change that perception is one interaction at a time. And the dealers who get that, they're the ones who are winning the day. They're the ones who get the reviews. They're the ones who get the 4-star reviews or the 5-star reviews, the
Yeah,
referrals, et cetera, et cetera.
going back to basics. And I mean, that's something that we want to really cover. We're going to start today a little bit. We want to cover returning to the customer journey, or how we used to call it, the 10 steps on the road to the sale. And one of the most overlooked ones is the first, the meet and greet, like we're talking, being ignored in the dealership, being pounced on, being, just left to your own resources, having to wander around and ask people, do you work here? And so the first step on the road to the sale from the beginning used to be the meet and the greet. And it used to be the one that turned the entire tide, because it's where the whole thing started and where the entire first initial contact was the first contact. And so the meet and the greet can build instant trust, or it can build instant distaste with somebody. But it has to be about an introduction of yourself and the store and even the product. And so one of the things that you need to do before you start meeting and greeting customers in the dealership, whether they're service customers or whether they're sales customers, is to do some research and put some background to what you're going to say to the customer.
Yeah.
First of all, you have to have something personal, not scripted, but about yourself. Like, I'm Withan. I've sold cars since 1987. My grandfather sold Buicks and Chevrolets since 1937. Whatever it
A
is,
little
something about,
anecdote, yeah, just
yeah.
something that made
Mhm.
you stand out. I can remember a guy I worked with years ago. He was an Irish guy, big barrel-chested guy, and he had a green clover on his lapel. And he says, "I'm the world's largest leprechaun." And that was his tagline. Okay. And so everybody knew. He says, "Yeah, I'm here to see the guy. I can't remember his name, but the world's largest leprechaun. Where is he?" Okay. So even if your name wasn't memorable, and obviously Within is a memorable name, we'll give you that. It's just what is your tag? And you make a great point. It needs to be not scripted, but rehearsed. And that's where the training comes in. And I don't know about you. I mean, I had training when I first went out on the sales floor. But a lot of folks today, they don't get that. And to your point, that first step is so critical.
Yep. I mean, haven't you ever seen a new salesperson walk up to a customer like they just lost a bet? I mean, you used to sit around the group and are you going to get them? Or I don't know, are you going to get them? Or it's like it's almost like they don't want a chance to sell a car, or they don't like people, or both. And so one of the things that can really alleviate that is if you prepare yourself. Another thing to have, other than to be able to put yourself out there uniquely and with a little information, is to put your store out there with a little information. Like, so and so Chrysler used to be so and so Chrysler Plymouth, because we've been around since 1968. And
Mhm.
just something little like that can help tell the customer the story and put the customer at ease and let them know, well, this dealership won't disappear next week. Maybe if I buy a car here, I'll be able to get service.
But you make a great point there too. Dealerships, gosh, especially in the last 5 years, the buy sells that are there. Some of these notable dealer groups, family-owned dealerships, been around 50, 60, 75 years, are changing hands. And,
Yep.
so, the
But
customer
it could
may
still
have
be the same dealership.
the same brick and mortar, but it's different people there, and it's a different philosophy, maybe a different way of doing business than what you used to. And that loyalty that you've given them over the years, now it feels like you got to start all over. And so you talked about being prepared. And that's where, again, rehearsing, just practicing. We used to do role play a lot,
Yep.
during our downtime, and that was part of the training.
And we
And
take green peas to other dealerships, quietly, so they could see how it worked at other dealerships, and we could discuss, what they did right and what they did wrong.
right. And so learning and rehearsing is not a bad thing. It just makes you better at your craft. And if we want to be thought of in this industry as professionals, we have to do things like professionals. The proper attire, you know, uh, the proper, just the basics. You walk up with a sandwich in your hand, you're drinking a Coke, and you're saying, "Hey, how can I help you?" Not the really best first impression to make with somebody, right? You know, um, if you're greeting that customer, male, female, I mean, I know when I was first started, they said if it's a man and a woman walk in together, you shake the lady's hand first. You address her to make sure she feels like you're paying attention to her because in a lot of places she's not. And you talked about that earlier. We were just going to talk to the husband, right? No, everybody's involved in the decision, and we know the women, they're going to be involved with making that decision more than 50% of the time. So, the car may be for her, and you jump and
Yep.
assume it's for him.
If there's a
No,
12
you
year old
just
boy
lost
there,
it. You just lost
yeah.
it. She's not buying anything from it. You couldn't give her a car. Okay. It's funny, the dynamic, you see the lady there with that purse and you ignore her. She's getting a tighter grip around that purse, I promise you. She's not letting go of it, okay? And it's just basics. But what I used to love was when they come in with the kids. So I'd greet mama, I'd shake dad's hand, and I'd shake each and every one of those little kids because guess what? They're going to help me sell a car,
Yep.
okay?
Or they're going to sabotage selling of a car.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. You know, I say, here's $1. You okay? Look, help me out here, kid. But no, but you got to have fun. And the thing about it is, uh, people hate going to a dealership because they've had a bad experience. It doesn't have to be that way. But
And it
the
turns into
sale,
projection because why do you think those salespeople dread going up to those people? Because
yeah.
they're projecting the person's antipathy on them, and they projects back and forth, and it becomes a fight before anyone's even said anything at all.
Well, everybody's got their force field, that barrier, okay? And it's all about lowering that barrier and that shield. But that's where the conversation comes in. What brings you in today? Are you here to see anybody in particular? I noticed you drove up in X. Are you looking to replace X? The car's going to be for my son. He's going off to college. Great. Where's he going to school? You just start flowing with a conversation. And, you know, Grant Cardone used to say all the time, sympathy, empathy, caring, and understanding. It shouldn't be something that we memorize. It should be just part of a general conversation with somebody we meet for the first time. But too much of it's scripted, too much of it is canned. And it's
But
not
it
a
does
one
have to be
size,
prepared,
yeah,
and
it's not a
because
one
that's what
size
makes you more
approach.
comfortable.
Yeah, it's all
And
about making,
another part of preparing for the meet and greet is you should talk to the service manager. Ask
yeah,
him, what sets his service department out. Maybe they have a president's award.
yeah.
Maybe they have a very high rate of satisfaction. Maybe they have a very low rate of return. Whatever it is, and you can project that out at the meet and the greet. Welcome to so and so Toyota. We have the region's lowest return rate in our service department. The service manager always wants me to tell people that because he's very proud of it.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the awards, the accolades, a lot of times they're on display. I know a lot of times when we would do that usually after the sale. But I think you make a real good point. I think if that's brought up earlier in the journey, and introducing them, I mean, you could be walking to your desk or you could be walking into the lot to show them, and you go past the service department and you say, here's our award-winning service department. We've been presidential award winner for the last 5 years running.
I would
Uh,
absolutely do that early.
yeah. And so, but again, those little steps, a lot of times, subtle as they are, you don't realize the impact they could have. And a lot of folks just don't do them.
Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, hit the like button, subscribe for more, and drop a comment below. We'd love to hear from you and it really helps out.